I see what's going on here. Uh-huh. Do I really? Does anybody? Is anybody out there? Am I alone in all of this? No, surely not. Hi everybody, it's me again, Jack Wallen. Woo! And I am here to help you figure all of this out. Because we can't do it alone. Because nobody seems to understand what exactly is going on out there. Look, today is all about some tough love. Yeah. I hate to be that guy, but I'm going to be that guy for a moment. Now, before I say or do anything, I should preface this by telling you that if you've been listening to me long enough, you know that I have been doing this for a very long time. I've been an actor since the mid-'80s. I've been a writer since the late 80s. And I'm not going to lie. It's hard. It is really, really hard. Now, this little conversation that I'm going to have right now was kind of spawned by a comment that I received on the Twitter. Someone said something, some writer said something to the effect of, "Yay, I sold a book, celebration, whee, that's great. I'm so happy for you, wonderful." And I chimed in to say, unfortunately, that's the situation that we're in now, is that we are relegated to celebrating the act of selling a single book. When 10 years ago, me and my fellow authors were aiming for selling 100 books a day. That was our goal. And we came so close to it. And then the avalanche happened. And here we are. So I said that, and someone else on the Twitter chimed in to effectively say, "Why you gotta be negging?" Well, it took me a moment to figure out what negging was. Because at first I thought, are they saying nagging? They misspelled nagging or what? And then I realized it was being negative. I wasn't being negative. Because after I said, this is the situation we're in, it's too bad, but a sale is a sale, congratulations. I wasn't being negative. I was being realistic. And that is part of the problem that we all face as artists today. Now, I don't like to do this, but I'm going to anyway. That part of this problem has to do with the younger generations who were, and this is just part of my generation who I happen to be Gen X, which is, there's a bit of jealousy here because Gen X, we were kind of left alone to our own devices to try to navigate our way through the world as loners, which is why the whole grunge movement happened. Because we were latchkey kids and our parents kind of left us behind. We didn't get a trophy for anything. The only trophy we had was the key around our neck that allowed us into the houses so we could go in and sit our butts down in front of the television or put headphones on and listen to music until our parents came home all alone. Or if we were lucky to have a sibling, we would sit down in front of the television with our sibling, or we would both put on headphones and we would enjoy our existence in solitude together. And then the younger generations came along and they all got trophies for everything. Right? So here's the problem. The younger generations, I got a sale. Woo, I sold a book. That's great. That is absolutely great. But you should be aiming higher than that. Now, I know that this really isn't a matter of someone aiming so low that they're ecstatic when they sell a single book. But the thing is, the realistic part about this is is that the majority of writers out there are going to be lucky to sell one book. I'm not talking about one book a day. I'm saying that the majority of writers out there, of young writers, are going to be lucky that one person decided to take a chance on their one book and buy one copy of that book. Now maybe they'll sell a book a month. There's the heat. Now I've got to compete with the heat. Gen X. That's all we do. We're in competition with everything. So listen. And this is so important. It is so profoundly difficult in this world right now as an artist. And when I tell you, when I say that we need to figure out a way such that we're not just celebrating the selling of a single book, you don't need to look at me and say, stop negging. I'm not being negative. I'm being realistic. That once upon a time, 7 or so years ago, we could sell books pretty easily. Now we can't. And we've got to figure out a way to get back to where we were. That's not negativity. That's not me being negative. That's not me trying to crash your party of the book sale. That is me saying, this is reality here. And the reality is, there are too many writers, not enough readers, not enough people with disposable income that they could shell out money for books at hand over fist. Especially now, we're in a pandemic. Some people aren't even working. The only way they're going to be getting books is going to the library. And let's face it, we're also competing with streaming services. And people are going to certainly sit in front of a television before they're going to read a book. Because that's how we are tuned as consumers. We have been conned into believing that television is the best form of entertainment. The best form of entertainment is whatever keeps you entertained the most. If it's television, great. If it's music, great. If it's books, awesome. But don't think that someone who has been in this industry for decades, who has been trying and struggling for decades, that comes to you and tosses a big bucket of cold water on your party, that we're being negative. Because we're just being realistic, and everybody needs a dose of realism now and then. And I've been trying to give these doses of realism in little tiny drips and drabs in this little discussion that I have. And I don't know if anybody's listening. I don't care. I do care if people are listening, but whether people are listening or not, I'm going to keep talking because these things need to be heard. We all, as artists, every single one of us, have to get a grasp on reality. For example, in the world of theater, small theaters are struggling mightily because they can't get people to come. And after this pandemic's over, it's going to be even harder because people have grown accustomed to not doing it. They've grown accustomed to sitting on their couches and being entertained with a television again. It's easy. And that's the big problem. Seriously, easy is the default. Which is another reason why so many artists need to hear this dose of reality, because easy doesn't work in the arts. Sure, there are people out there that have had an easy time. They've had an easy road to success. That is the minority, a vast minority. Most artists struggle. Most artists have to work their asses off day and night just to try to get their work to be seen. And even before that, they have to work tooth and nail to create their art. It is not easy. For me, the writing part's easy. Once I get the book written, the difficulty begins. So stop thinking that this is going to be easy. And stop shrugging off anyone who wishes to give you a dose of reality here. For instance, and this one, I cannot say this one enough. If you're an indie author, awesome. But you've got to pay for an editor. You can't edit yourself. You can't just ask a friend to look over your book and proofread it, because your friend is probably not an editor. Now, you might have a friend that's an editor, and that friend might be willing to go through your book. But the truth of the matter is you need to pay somebody to do that. You need to pay a professional to do that. Because if you don't, that book that you publish is probably going to be filled with errors. No matter how good of a writer you are, it's going to be filled with errors. And over the years, indie authors have developed a really bad reputation for books that are filled with problems. So people are less inclined to want to read them. Which is one of the reasons why a lot of indie authors have had to continually lower their prices until they are at rock bottom and they're making absolutely no money off of their books, because readers don't want to pay full freight for a book that's filled with errors. So pay for an editor, pay for a cover designer, get a proofreader, get beta readers, make it hard. Now, I don't necessarily mean make it hard for yourself, but use the process that every writer has eventually discovered works for themselves, and that is beta readers, editors, proofreaders, cover designers. That's hard. Do it. Make it a part of your workflow so that your book is the best it could possibly be when you publish it. And at the same time, you've got to give that work all the time it needs. Stop rushing it. I know I sound like a grouchy old man. Get off my literary yard, you stupid kid. And in some ways I am like that, because I have had to see this happen so many times. I've had to be the bearer of reality to a lot of writers, and they're like, sorry. Sometimes the truth does hurt. But sometimes the truth is exactly what you need to improve. When I say something to a fellow writer, when I give constructive criticism to a writer, the operative word should be constructive. And it means that I'm trying to help you. I'm not trying to knock you down a peg. I'm not trying to stop you from doing this. I'm trying to help. That's really all I want to do, is help. It's been my modus operandi for years. It's why I started this little video series, to help people. So, toughen up that skin. Be willing to take constructive criticism. And don't think that an author with decades of experience giving you advice that you might not want to hear is them going full on neg with you. Take it as a positive that someone is willing to invest the time to help you improve. And when you find somebody like that who is willing to invest that time in you, you keep hold of them. Don't let them go. Because you won't find someone like that around every corner. Okay, I'm done. No more negging. Look, rising tide lifts all boats. Let's all be the rising tide. Okay? And sometimes the tide is easy. Sometimes it's a little rough. But the ultimate goal is to lift everyone. Okay? Thank you for being here for this little rant of mine. I hope that you've learned something or maybe been entertained or whatever. It doesn't matter. It does matter, but you know what I'm saying. Subscribe, blah, blah, blah. I hope to see you here again sometime soon because you, my friend, you are awesome. I finally did my damn nails. Ugh.